Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Cameron here with my co-host
Nicole.
Jesus.
I got a little too excited.
She's excited to be back, everybody.
Back, baby.
I wanted to start by kicking off a little mini series here.
Okay.
And I want to talk about curses.
Curses.
Yeah. Do you believe in curses?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you define a curse?
Bad things happen.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. That's easy.
Pretty much a synopsis of it. Usually bad things happen. Usually a bad omen.
Okay.
Could affect one person. Could affect a family.
Sure. Yeah.
Could affect a lineage of sorts.
Can affect a place.
Yeah.
Land.
Person, place, thing,
True.
object.
Really, anything. Curses
anything.
Can be inflicted upon anything.
It just means bad.
So, as we were just saying, curses can take different forms and pose a multitude of powers and effects depending on the geographical location and cultural belief.
Okay.
It stretches globally in different incarnations and goes back before biblical times.
Okay.
Curses be old.
Yeah.
It can affect you personally, your entire family, inanimate objects, places, sports franchises, groups, and cryptid creatures.
Fun.
Yeah.
So pretty much covered all the bases in the
anything.
synopsis.
I mean, if you think about it, a werewolf is a curse, you know? I mean,
it affects a person.
Mm-hmm. We can go into many cryptids as well.
Yeah.
You likely know of some famous curses, such as King Tutankhamun, the Kennedy curse, maybe. You might have heard of that. The Hope Diamond.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. That's a common one.
Yeah, those are kind of some of the big ones.
Those are like the famous ones, quote unquote.
The big ones.
The big ones.
And we will be taking a look at all these in the series.
Okay.
But to start with, what is the definition of a curse?
I just told you.
By Webster's, here's the definition. It is a solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. So I agree with that, but I would like to say I don't think you necessarily have to say it. And I think you can kind of think it or just will it or wish a curse, you know? I don't think it has to be necessarily an utterance, but I would like to hear I curse you. You know,
yeah.
I'd like to know for sure.
Just some projection into the universe.
So we're going to be running into some terms, jinx and hex, a lot of which essentially are interchangeable.
Okay.
So for both definitions, quick, a hex is a magic spell or curse.
Yeah.
And then a jinx is a person or thing that brings bad luck.
Okay.
So similar to curses, kind of interchangeable in some of this terminology, and we'll be running into this in these cultures.
When I think of hexes, I think of just witchcraft.
Yeah, me too, kind of. Which is where it's going to come from. We're going to find it's Germanic, and you're dead on. Yeah, that's right. Before we take a look at specific curses, like the Kennedy one we were talking about, let's take a look at some different types of curses and beliefs through different cultures to kind of get a wider understanding of this topic before we jump in.
Interesting. Okay.
So we're going to start with hoodoo.
Never heard of hoodoo.
Hoodoo, you do one of the babe labyrinth. We should watch that soon. Sorry. Hoodoo is a set of spiritual practices.
That didn't land.
No, because you gave me nothing. Hoodoo is a set of spiritual practices, traditions, and beliefs that were created by enslaved African Americans in the southern United States from various...
Wait, question, is hoodoo different from voodoo?
I think so.
Okay.
But I'm not entirely sure. We might find out in the reading, but I think they're different.
Okay. I was just curious.
There's Christianity elements and also indigenous botanical knowledge with hoodoo. Practitioners of hoodoo are called root workers, conjure doctors, conjure man or conjure woman, root doctors, hoodoo doctors, and my favorite, swampers.
Oh, great.
I'd go by a Swamper Cameron.
Swamper Cameron.
So as a syncretic spiritual system, it is brought about by a combination of different beliefs. It also incorporates Islam, brought over by enslaved West African Muslims, and spiritualism. Scholars define hoodoo as a folk religion. Folk religions are syncretic traditions between two or more cultural religions. In this case, African indigenous spirituality and Abrahamic religion. So Abrahamic, just the big three, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, that follow that storyline.
Okay.
In hoodoo, curses take form in jinxes and crossings. Crossings refer to the spiritual connection when an individual is in a continual blocked or hexed state. We're going to break this down a little more.
Yeah, I'm
Don't worry,
trying to follow.
Yeah, this is reading like stereo instructions. Cross conditions can be caused by a variety of factors. One explanation is that an enemy has jinxed you. So what the classical curse, what you would think. The other thing is you can just cross yourself by carrying negative energy, just spreading bad karma, things of that nature. Essentially, you can bring it upon yourself as well. So it doesn't just have to be a one-on-one hex.
So the negative mindset can cause jinx.
Yes, essentially upon yourself.
Upon yourself.
And a lot of these cultures kind of also believe that, but you also have to be aware of, them coming at you from different places.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So crossing rituals involve writing a person's name and crossing it out. That's essentially the hex or jinx. Maybe I should be sharing that online. I don't know. It's thereby targeting them and placing a powerful spell on them. When these spells are cast by a practitioner of black magic, the results can be catastrophic and very difficult to undo. So as I was saying, it's also possible to create a self-inflicted cross condition. People who are constantly pessimistic,
that's me.
That's me. Will build up a large...
Well, that's not you. It's me. You're optimistic.
Yeah. I'm anxious, though.
I'm a little pessimistic.
A negative mindset is a powerful tool which can lead to depression, and this is also going to be the jinx.
Great.
And it says over time, this will snowball into life-altering incidences.
This is a real downer.
Crossing can affect your health, career, and social life.
Great.
And it will grow in more intensity over time. Until a person is uncrossed, they will be unable to gain any momentum in their life.
Pretty harsh.
Well, the good news is, though, how do we uncross? Because maybe we just do this after the podcast and,
You told me positive affirmations and meditating.
And you're going to find that's the answer to a lot of these cultures as well. But
okay.
There are 3 steps to complete an uncrossing. And I would like to also add that I found this on a site selling a lot of things for your uncrossing. So maybe this is taken with a little pinch of salt,
Okay.
The first step is the removal of the hex or curse. In order to successfully remove the hex, it is necessary to find the true cause of the problem.
Okay.
So this is kind of be just inspection looking in. Mm-hmm. Requires that a cross person look honestly and critically at themselves to determine the root of the crossing. Whether you brought it upon yourself with your negative energy, all up in here, or was placed on you by someone else, you have to start by replacing the negative energy with good energy. So as you just said, this can be done with meditation, keeping a positive outlook, spreading good karma, just being good,
I helped an old man get a shopping cart today.
Factual? You did that? Well, there you go.
Yeah, he said, "You're such a sweet lady." And I was like, thanks.
And then you boasted about it on the interwebs, I feel like that just equaled out.
And then I had a turkey wrap. It was a good day.
Once you have determined the basis of your cross condition, it is time to perform the uncrossing ritual. The most common way to uncross a hex is a spiritual cleansing or bath. This is where
salt baths?
This is where they really started pushing their uncrossing shampoos and soaps. So I had to skip a bunch of paragraphs of how to use their products. The bath should take place at least once a day for 7 days, preferably in the morning, and you should soak in the tub for 15 minutes while concentrating on your desire. You're supposed to bathe yourself, but you also need to bathe your entire house and your surroundings. You need to, not bathe, you need to clean every surface.
Okay. That's a lot of cleaning.
Yeah, I know. The final step in the uncrossing process deals with moving forward and refocusing your life. So this seems a lot like step 1, but I guess you're just doing it again after the bath.
Okay.
If you've been the victim of a cross condition, you may have been suffering its effects for months, if not years. As a result, it can be difficult to shift your thinking and outlook, but okay, it's just saying shift your thinking. Gotcha. Keep a positive outlook, and that's how you uncross yourself after taking a bath and cleaning your house.
Great.
Yeah, so they were selling products hard in between each paragraph, so don't know how
reliable
that is. Hindu curses. As in the Abrahamic religions, in Hinduism, curses are part of their theology and written about in their sacred text, the Veda.
Okay.
The Vedas, meaning knowledge, are the oldest texts of Hinduism. They are derived from the ancient Indo-Aryan culture of the Indian subcontinent and began as an oral tradition that was passed down through generations before being written in the Vedic Sanskrit. There are 4 types of Vedas. We don't really need to go into this too much, the actual religion, but there's not as much a day-to-day cursing person to person as much as it is like part of their theology, their religion, that like there are curses in their text that have come down and there's maybe consequences to our behavior and social stuff today, let's say.
Okay.
So
very karmatic.
Yeah. The curse of Brihacharya. Brigu cursed Vishnu that he would be born again and again to suffer the pain of worldly life. So this explains the reason why Vishnu has taken so many different forms. So it kind of just explains his reincarnation. The curse of Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira cursed the womanhood that no one of them would be able to keep a secret ever after. And this is kind of a sexist way of explaining why women can't keep secrets. Things of that nature.
I love gossip.
See, there you go. See?
I love the chisme. Give me a coffee and chisme and I'll be so happy.
So there are many, many more examples of this just in the Vedas and their scripture, kind of explaining just different religious curses that are carried down to explain human nature and spiritual order.
Okay.
Apart from mentions in the sacred texts, there is a popular belief in the culture shared ambiguously around the world that goes back to ancient times.
Mm-hmm.
The evil eye.
Okay.
Have you heard of the evil eye?
No, tell me more about it.
The evil eye is present in ancient Greece and Rome, in Jewish, Islamic, Buddhist, Hindu traditions, and in indigenous peasants and other folk societies.
Mm-hmm.
Also Latin America.
Yep.
And some Asia. Everywhere.
Just everywhere.
It is literally everywhere. So the evil eye is a supernatural belief and a curse brought about by a malevolent glare, usually given to a person when they are unaware.
Mm-hmm.
The evil eye dates back over 5,000 years in the 6th century BC. The evil eye symbol, right here, if you want to take a little look, that little thingy, has been found through thousands of years of history across cultures, including, as I said, Latin America and parts of Asia.
Yeah.
The symbol, often described as 4 concentrical circles in the shape of an eye, is used to ward off variations of evil intentions.
Yep.
Mediterranean religion, as well as Western Asia and Central Asia, with such cultures often believing that receiving the evil eye will cause misfortune or injury, while others believe it to be a kind of supernatural force that casts or reflects a malevolent glare back upon those who wish harm upon others. There are many protective talismans and objects that people use to ward off the evil, but how is the curse delivered and removed as opposed to just repelled? It varies drastically throughout different cultures, some believing in rituals involving cleansing, mirrors, herbs, potions. Some believe in chanting mantras, prayer, and meditation, while others take safety in inanimate objects, salt, candles, safety pins. The common thread is that people try to replace the negative energy with positive energy. In a non-spiritual sense, people attribute this to people's energies in fields, also just rubbing off on you.
Mm-hmm.
If you carry and spread negative energy, you can attract it to yourself. Toxic people. Now we're going to get into the witches, German hexes, and the hex signs.
Mm-hmm.
The term hex, with occult connotation, is derived from the Pennsylvania German word hex, meaning witch.
Sorry.
What?
Hex comes from the German word
hex, meaning witch. Germany was at the absolute center of the witch craze of the 16th and 17th centuries, and the creation of the commercial Halloween witchcraft culture several centuries later.
Mm-hmm.
These German witches actually have nothing to do with Halloween, though. They flew to the mountains on Walpurgis night, the transition between spring and summer, but their images were easily relevant to pre-Christianity seasonal holiday, Halloween. Especially given that the German dominance of the postcard publishing industry before World War I, they just have you seen German postcards before? The old ones. They ruled the game. They had a lot of witches out there. They were spreading the word on witches. The estimates for the number of executions for witches between 1450 and 1750 are in the range of 40,000 to 60,000, with 16 to 26,000 being accounted for in Germany alone.
Jesus.
Yeah, they love killing witches. Apart from mass murdering these innocent people, what could Germans do to protect themselves from these evil spells cast by a witch's hex?
Tell me.
Hex signs. Hex design.
What is a hex sign?
Hex signs, usually round with colorful, simple floral and geometric motifs, are said to protect farm animals from disease and other misfortune resulting from witches' spells, and especially the evil eye.
Can you show me a picture of what these look like?
Yeah, I sure can. So they're just simple circular kind of patterns that they almost look like church mosaics, like a window piece or something like that.
Interesting.
It
looks like when, I'm not trying to knock it in any way or discredit it, but it looks like when someone tries to embroider.
Yeah, kind of.
You know how they have that wooden
that little circle thing?
That circle wooden wheel, and then they just
You may have very well seen some hex signs. So they're
I
typically
think there were some at home.
possibly they're typically put on the sides of barns and houses to protect and ward off wet spells and evil eye and witches. But depending on their design, they can be meant to spread good intentions as well as repelling evil. They can promote fertility, fortune, or a good crop yield.
Oh, fun.
And other things, a lot of other things, but I didn't want to keep reading. It is from German culture where we get the predominant view of witches and witchcraft, as well as curses in the Western world. All Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, make mentions of curses and witchcraft in their theology. But imagery of the practicing witch who has made a pact with the devil is derived from the idea of the Christian witchcraft from Germany.
Huh.
So this is kind of where you and I would get our main. It's kind of a mixture of that and like the evil eye Latin America witch that I think blend of what I fear of evil and curses.
Yeah.
The Japanese Tatari.
I don't think I've ever heard of this.
I didn't either. This is a fun one. It's kind of like some other of their like ghost and associated demons and spirits with that.
Okay.
Tatari is a curse, vengeance exacted by an onryo in Japanese folklore. In Japanese traditional beliefs and literature, onryo are a type of ghost believed to be capable of causing harm in the world of the living, injuring or killing enemies, or even causing natural disasters to exact vengeance to redress the wrongs it received while alive. So it's just a vengeful spirit if you fuck someone over. Then they take your spirit from your dying body. Then they take your soul.
Great.
I missed that last little line there. Onryo are often depicted as wronged women who were traumatized by what happened during life and exact revenge in death. These kinds of ghosts appear extremely vengeful, ruthless, heartless, brutal, cruel, deranged, egotistical, bloodthirsty, and cold-hearted. The curses are essentially hauntings that can cause calamity in many forms, but it doesn't always have to be from a dead person. A person's soul or spirit exists naturally when it is in a stable balance. When too much hatred or resentment brews, it can become separated from the body, resulting in the spirit becoming an onryo. This can also occur in individuals who have died, obviously, violent deaths. I couldn't really find any remedies as to how do you remove an onryo, as it seems to be a cautionary tale not to fuck people over and just wrongdoing and spreading evil. So it would vary case to case to appease the wrong person, possibly with this vengeance. But many times it seems that they're going to kill you and take your soul.
Great.
So that one's a little tough.
Be kind to everyone.
Be kind to everybody. So we've taken a glimpse into curses around the world now and how they manifest in different cultures. Are there any that you specifically believe in or are fearful of? Any new concepts you have to be afraid of?
No.
Nope, she's fearless. No, what do you know? Well, with that, let's take a look at our first famous curse.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of like what witches, hexes.
Hey, we're not putting that out there though. Do not put a curse on us, people.
No. Negative mindset.
Yeah, we keep it positive around here.
I try.
So with that, let's take a look at our first famous curse in history.
Okay.
The Curse of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. This is probably one of the most famous curses. Yeah. It's the number one. The curse from opening a mummy's tomb has been in the zeitgeist and a popular theme for horror movies, but it doesn't appear to originate from ancient Egypt or their culture. The mummy's curse was widely popularized by the events following the opening of King Tut's tomb in 1922. But when and where did this idea originate?
Everyone started dying after the tomb was open.
That's an indicator. The late Egyptologist Dominique Monstriat conducted a comprehensive search and concluded that the concept began with a strange striptease in the 19th century London. His work showed that the mummy's curse concept predates Carnarvon's Tutankhamun discovery and his death by 100 years, but not to ancient times. And we're going to get to this in a second, but Carnarvon is, Lord Carnarvon is the person that set out for, he wasn't on the expedition until the end, but he's the one that financed it and got it rolling. Okay. Monstriat believed that a stage show where real Egyptian mummies were unwrapped inspired writers to create tales of mummies' revenge.
Like The Mummy?
Yeah. So essentially, this was just like a sideshow circus thing where they were taking mummy bodies and unraveling them. So sensationalist writers.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Never.
Not cool.
No.
But writers, to sensationalize the event, started writing about the mummy's curse and the revenge of these ancient people, kind of rightfully so. But it's seeming like this is maybe where this originated from. Mm-hmm. The conclusion was confirmed by Little Women author Louisa May Alcott in her nearly unknown volume, Lost in a Pyramid, or The Mummy's Curse.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. She said, my research has not only confirmed that there is, of course, no ancient Egyptian origin to the mummy's curse concept, but more importantly, it also reveals that it didn't originate in the 1923 press publicity about the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb either.
What about the people dying?
We're gonna get to the people dying, but as we're gonna find, only one person died shortly after the opening, and the rest were years later. So,
but what about the people dying?
I'll get there. So while this is likely the popularization of the mummy's curse, others do think that the notion of Egyptian curses date to ancient times. Mm-hmm. Salma Ikram, an Egyptologist at the American University in Cairo and a National Geographic Society grantee, believes that the curse concept did exist in ancient Egypt as a part of a primitive security system. She notes that some early non-pyramid tomb walls in Giza and Saqqara were actually inscribed with curses meant to terrify those that would desecrate or rob the royal resting place. They tended to threaten desecrators with divine retribution by the council of the gods, or death by crocodiles, or lions, or scorpions, or snakes.
All sound terrible.
Mm-hmm. Which one would you take? I'd take... don't lions just go for the throat? They kill you quick, don't they?
Not necessarily. I mean, in like large animals, like you see them, attack like their...
But they don't play with their food like a bear would. They don't eat you alive. Doesn't a lion kind of just... They kill you right away. They kill you.
Yeah, they usually go for the throat.
Yeah, I'm taking
and they
lion.
hold you in the throat for a while. You bleed out. It's kind of painful, I think.
None of these are going to be cool. So, although...
I think I would rather be torn apart by an alligator.
Crocodile. They're even more vicious. They're bigger. It's even better. Although these inscriptions were not found on any pyramid tombs, it makes sense that this scare tactic security system would still transcend time and be placed on other burial structures as well. Whether these curses were believed to be true by the inscribers or merely threats to grave robbers is hard to say. Mm-hmm. Was there intent and energy put into these inscriptions?
Probably.
Or is it the equivalent of a security system sign in our front yard with no security system? We do have a security system. I'm just,
Jesus fucking Christ.
Come at us. There don't appear to be any specific stories from a mummy's curse predating King Tut's tomb and those comic strips. Mm-hmm. So let's take a look at the curse that started it all.
Okay.
On November 4th, 1922, a team headed by British Egyptologist Howard Carter began excavating the tomb of Tutankhamun in the Valley of the Kings, Egypt. Tutankhamun, nicknamed King Tut, was an Egyptian pharaoh who ruled from 1333 BCE until his death in 1323 BCE, and he was just 9 years old. After he died, Tutankhamun was mummified according to tradition and buried in a tomb filled with artwork, jewelry,
Isn't it crazy that when they embalm you, they take your brain out through your nose?
Yeah, pretty. The whole process is kind of fascinating and crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
I just think about that sometimes.
Just crosses your head sometimes?
Yeah, like how do you take out the brain through the nose? Just by chunks?
Oh, we've all seen it a million times. I feel like we all know very well.
I have not seen it.
You tap in, you break through the nasal cavity, you scramble it around, then you start pulling it out.
But if it's scrambled, how do you pull it out?
It's just liquid at that point. Kind of
suck it out.
I think it just drains out, kind of.
What about the brain stem?
I don't know.
But you said we've all seen it.
Shifting desert sands quickly hit the tomb, and it lay mostly hidden for more than 3,000 years. Mm-hmm. Whereas the tombs of most pharaohs were plundered by grave robbers in ancient times, Tutankhamun's tomb was hidden by debris for most of its existence, and therefore not extensively robbed. Mm-hmm. It became known as the first largely intact royal burial from ancient Egypt. And to date, the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb is widely considered one of the most famous archaeological discoveries of all time. The team was mostly comprised of skilled Egyptian workers who made the discovery possible. Mm-hmm. Dozens of unnamed Egyptian men and children performed most of the intense physical labor. Children did most of the intense physical labor at the site, all the digging.
Oh my God.
and shared their local knowledge and specialized skills to locate the tomb and unearth it. In the end, self-taught and proclaimed British archaeologist Howard Carter got all the credit, though. As you can imagine. Well, and his financier, Lord Carnarvon. On November 4th, a worker uncovered a step in the rock. According to Carter, the workmen discovered the step while digging beneath the remains of huts. But others attribute the discovery to a boy who was digging outside of the assigned work area and found it. Not according to Carter, though.
It's like bring your kid to work day. The kid finds it and the adult takes the credit.
Well, this is the hoity-toity guy. The step proved to be the beginning of the tomb entrance staircase. After his workers dug out the sand, at the bottom stood a doorway sealed with limestone and plaster. Carter cut a peephole to see the passage beyond, but it was filled with rubble. To secure the site, Carter had the workers refill the hole that they had just dug out and sent a telegram.
Oh my God. Do you know how mad I would be if I was one of those people that like spent how much time digging?
You're going to be quite mad.
Just to be filling a goddamn hole again, just for a guy to just send a message to someone and be like, hey.
Oh, don't worry though. You're going to dig that hole out, that same hole, a bunch of times for security reasons.
So you're going to refill it.
Yeah.
Dig it out. Mm-hmm. Refill it.
Oh, yeah. Just a few times, though. So to secure the site, Carter had the workers refill the hole and sent a telegram to his benefactor, Lord Carnarvon, in England, and asked his friend and colleague, Arthur Callender, to assist with the upcoming excavation.
What a fool.
Fool! The digging resumed on November 23rd, when Lord Carnarvon arrived in Luxor with his daughter, Evelyn Herbert, who would also be there at the unveiling. All these people had nothing to do with the actual work. Redigging to the tomb's entrance, they found that the doorway seal was inscribed with the name Tutankhamun.
This is really infuriating.
Suggesting that this was his tomb. The debris that filled the passage contained objects bearing the names of other kings, which suggested to them that it might have been like a cache of miscellaneous objects buried with him during his reign.
Mm-hmm.
The doorway itself had been partially demolished and then apparently resealed, indicating an ancient robbery. On November 26th, the excavators cleared the rubble and reached another sealed doorway. This would be the last barrier between them and the tomb. In Carter's own words, "With trembling hands, I made a tiny breach in the upper left-hand corner. Darkness and blank space, as far as an iron testing rod could reach, showed that whatever lay beyond was empty, and not filled with the passage we had just cleared. Candle tests were applied as a precautionary test against possible foul gases, and then, widening the hole a little, I inserted the candle and peered in. Lord Carnarvon, Lady Evelyn, and Callender standing anxiously beside me to hear the verdict. At first I could see nothing.
Oh my God.
The hot air escaping from the chamber, causing the flame to flicker. But presently, as my eyes grew accustomed to the light, details of the room within emerged slowly from the mist. Strange animals, statues, and gold. Everywhere the glint of gold." So I would like to point out that he noticed that there was a mist or fog in there, and also that as they opened it, hot air escaped and rushed at them.
Mm-hmm.
This will come up into theories later as to maybe why some people got sick and died.
Mm-hmm.
So a few days after first peering into the antechamber, the excavators breached the plaster of this blocked doorway. Carter, Carnarvon, and Evelyn Herbert squeezed through the hole to find the tomb's burial chamber, which was mostly filled by the set of gilded shrines that enclosed Tutankhamen's sarcophagus.
These guys were also fools and probably didn't even cover their face or mouth.
Oh, nothing. They just crawled through an old hole into an ancient tomb. Yeah.
I think the most infuriating part of this is one, a child possibly discovered it. 2, white man takes credit for it.
Sure.
3, the thought of just people flying in just to
claim
that aren't even a part of it, just to like
financiers.
Doesn't matter. Like his daughter, what is his daughter doing there?
She can fit through the hole.
It doesn't matter. She has no contribution to this. She's just there just to be there.
Yep. She's in the pictures.
That's why they all get sick and die. Right. They deserve it.
Well, I was about to say there is a reward outcome here where all these people get sick from traveling so much.
Well, I think it's because they also didn't cover their face and they went down into a dark, dingy
tomb.
Yeah.
There might be some of that. There is controversy over their actions, obviously. They were supposed to notify the officials from the Antiquities Service before entering.
Yeah.
It was against the terms of the concession, and because the breach necessitated moving some of the artifacts that stood in front of the partition, which meant they couldn't officially record how the room was set up. Hard eye roll from Nicole right now.
I just hate people, you know?
The excavation was challenging because moisture from flash floods in the valley above had periodically seeped into the tomb over the centuries. So we also got a lot of moisture in here and other things, like mold that could be growing. Mm-hmm. As a result, alternating periods of humidity and dryness had warped wood, dissolved glue, and caused leather and textiles to decay. Every exposed surface was covered with an unidentified pink film. Never identified. That could also be something maybe causing some sickness or disease.
I guarantee you they touch the walls and then touch their faces.
Gotta wash your hands, guys. At least Purell. Carter claimed that without intensive restoration efforts, only a tenth of the burial goods would have survived being transported to Cairo. It was in really bad shape. The contents of the tomb were delicately removed and transported to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo after numerous excavations. A little burying, a little digging, a little burying.
That's just infuriating.
And today the contents reside in the Grand Egyptian Museum in Giza. So where's the curse in this story, you might be asking?
I wonder where.
It is believed that disturbing or robbing a resting place will cause illness or death.
Wow, it's like the game we played last night.
True, fun video game. And not long after the excavation, we have our first associated death. Expedition sponsor Lord Carnarvon, the man who financed the excavation, was the first to succumb to the curse. Lord Carnarvon accidentally cut open a mosquito bite on his face while shaving and ended up dying of blood poisoning shortly thereafter. This occurred a few months after the tomb was opened.
Is it after he touched the pink stuff on the wall?
Probably. Well, he's not even in Egypt anymore. This occurred a few months after the tomb was opened.
When does bloodstream?
It's true. And nearly 6 weeks after the press started reporting about the mummy's curse, which just added to the hype. So nothing had happened yet, and people are already reporting on this. Mm-hmm. Legend has it that when Lord Carnarvon died, all the lights in his house, or according to other accounts, all the lights in Cairo mysteriously went out. It is also said that the following morning, after all the lights going out in Cairo, 2 bodies were found that some curse researchers claim were Egyptian laborers who had worked on the dig with Howard Carter. Completely unverified. Next we have Sir Bruce Ingham. He was not killed, but suffered misfortune after receiving a gift from Howard Cartwright. He gave Ingram a paperweight, which it was fucked up and consisted of a mummified hand wearing a bracelet that was supposedly inscribed with the phrase, "Cursed be he who moves my body." Shortly after receiving this stellar gift, his house burned to the ground.
Sorry. I think if I would have received a mummified hand as a paperweight, I'd have been like, gee, thanks. I think I would have been fine with a snow globe.
It's a fine paperweight. When he tried to rebuild after the fire, he was hit by a flood.
Or even those necklaces that they do.
Like puka shell?
Yeah, just something fun. It could be just nothing crazy.
Hey, I was in Egypt. Here's a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, that's fine.
That works for you. I mean, after your house burns down though, and then you get hit by a flood, you gotta get rid of that paperweight. George J. Gold.
I have a better one for you. Don't accept it.
That's probably better. George J. Gold was a wealthy American financier and railroad executive who visited the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1923. So he wasn't part of the excavation, but there was some tourism after that and people would go and look. He fell sick almost immediately afterward visiting the site and never recovered. He died of pneumonia a few months later. Someone who wasn't even at the site, but associated to someone there, Lord Carnarvon's half-brother was believed to have suffered King Tut's curse simply by being related. Unfortunate. Aubrey was born with a degenerative eye condition and became totally blind late in life. A doctor suggested...
That's not terrible.
No, but that's not it. A doctor suggested his rotten, infected teeth were somehow interfering with his vision. So Aubrey
What did he do? Have an abscess in his mouth?
He just had gross teeth, I guess. Gross British teeth. So Aubrey had every single
had an
tooth...
abscess of sorts.
He had every single tooth pulled from his head in an effort to regain his sight.
Yeah, it had to be probably an abscess.
No, he was blind from a disease, from life, and then His doctor was like, well, your teeth are gross. How about we take those out and your sight will come back? Not associated.
It was a hypothesis?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the two.
Oh.
Yeah, he was just a bad doctor.
I thought it was like an abscess, like a root tooth abscess, and then it was just like his face was just getting puffy and it was affecting his vision.
Oh, no. He has a degenerative eye disease where he lost his sight. And then his doctor said, well, your teeth are gross. What if I pull all those out? His sight never regained, and instead he died of sepsis from the dental surgery.
Was it the dental surgery, or was it just because his teeth were bad?
Well, they were gross just 5 months after the death of his cursed brother. Susie, according to family members of Lord Carnarvon, his dog Susie let out a howl of anguish at precisely the same time Carnarvon died, and then died herself.
Well, dogs have a sixth sense, so I see that.
What makes this so spooky is that Susie was back at home in England more than 3,500 miles away. The story was often told by his son, George Herbert, 5th Earl of Carnarvon. Prince Ali Kamel Fahmy Bey. He was a 23-year-old Egyptian prince who was shot by his French wife of 6 months, Marie Marguerite. Marguerite, yeah, thank you, sorry. On the 10th of July, 1923, at the Savoy Hotel. Shortly before this event, he had visited the tomb of King Tutankhamun and had his photograph taken there.
Oh my God.
Ahmed Kamal Bey.
All these unnecessary humans involved.
Was Egypt's first Egyptologist and a scientific pioneer in his own country. He visited the tomb of Tutankhamun and died shortly after, probably from a lung infection, possibly some fog, some pink dust down there, maybe some old hot air carrying disease. Hugh Evanley White was a British archaeologist who visited King Tut's tomb and may have helped in the excavation site itself. In 1924, he died by suicide, and he allegedly wrote a message in his own blood which read, "I have succumbed to a curse which forces me to disappear."
Spooky.
That one's cursy. Edgar Steele. This is February 24th, 1930, so this is a while after the dig. Only 4 days later, Edgar Steele, 57, who was in charge of handling the tomb artifacts at London's British Museum, died at St. Thomas's Hospital after a minor stomach operation. Lord Westbury. Bethel's father, Lord Westbury, 77, was believed to have thrown himself off the 7th floor of St. James's apartment. Bethel's father committed suicide in a suspicious circumstance in 1930. What made this event even more bizarre was that the apartment was filled with unregistered items taken from King Tutankhamun's tomb that had been gifted to him by his son. So his place was full of artifacts.
Like I said, if you're going to give me a gift, give me a fucking magnet.
Don't give me anything from anybody dead.
Yeah, no.
Basic rule.
Yeah. Give me a postcard, Hawaiian shirt.
Arthur Cruttenden Mace was a member of Howard Carter's team during the discovery of King Tut's tomb and provided an invaluable help to Carter during the excavation.
Invaluable help okay.
During the excavation and the drafting of the first volume of the tomb.
Can't wait for this guy.
His health started to mysteriously deteriorate and he left Egypt never to return. He died on April 6, 1928, after having written a letter claiming that he was being poisoned by arsenic. So this could be another thing that there is a theme that some of these people died without being able to be diagnosed by anything, but it seems like a lung poisoning. It seems like a respiratory problem. Maybe like hot air blowing out of a tomb into your face, or possibly mysterious pink poison dust coating everything, let's say.
I wonder if there was like a pink fog.
Possibly in your lungs. American Egyptologist Aaron Ember, who was friends with many of the people who were present when King Tut's tomb was opened, is believed to have been affected by the curse. He died in 1926 when his house in Baltimore burned down less than an hour after he and his wife hosted a dinner party. He had time to exit the house safely, but his wife encouraged him to save a manuscript that he had been working on while she fetched their son elsewhere in the house. Unfortunately, the entire family and their maid died in the fire. No one made it out. They had a lot of time, though. What was the name of Ember's manuscript? The Egyptian Book of the Dead. He was writing the Book of the Dead. Sir Lee Stack, Governor General of the Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, was one of the first people to visit the tomb of Tutankhamun. 6 months later, he was being driven from the Egyptian War Office in Cairo to his official residence when he was shot multiple times by a group of students. He died of his He died of his gunshot wounds 3 days later in 1924. Again, this is all years after the excavation, but many of these people are visiting the tomb in a short period.
Yeah.
Richard Bethel was Lord Carnarvon's secretary and the first person behind Carter to enter the tomb. He died in 1929 under suspicious circumstances, and some attribute his death to the work of Aleister Crowley, who we'll probably touch on at some point. Have you heard of Aleister Crowley?
Name sounds familiar.
He was the world's most evil man. Bethel was found smothered in his room at the elite London Gentlemen's Club. People don't know how, though. Who?
Wow, Gentlemen's Club.
Gentlemen's Club.
Suspicious.
Sir Archibald Douglas Reed was not at the site, but he was the first person to x-ray King Tut before the mummy was given to the museum authorities. He got sick shortly after with a disease that could not be diagnosed.
Was it the lungs?
It was, because he went to Switzerland for the mountain air, and an acute abdominal condition came on, which required surgery. And again, he died during surgery.
Surprise.
Or because of surgery. James Henry...
Was it non-invasive? Was it a minimal procedure?
Who's to say? But he died because he probably inhaled pink dust. James Henry Breasted was a famous Egyptologist of the day and a member of Carter's team. Shortly after, he supposedly returned home to find that his pet canary had been eaten by a cobra, and the cobra was still in the cage. This one seems the most made up. It is symbolic because it is believed that the cobra is the sign of the Egyptian monarchy. But I also heard the exact same story happening to Lord Carnarvon at the site on the night they opened up the tomb. Apparently, he went back to his tent and his pet canary was being eaten by a cobra, as if it was a warning to him, and then he died several months later. That story has a little more punch to it.
Did he have a pet canary just so they could bring it down there to see if there's any gases that would kill them?
Probably.
Kind of like miners?
Yeah, I would assume so, actually. Yeah.
They should have thought this through a little bit more, huh?
Right. So all but Lord Carnarvon's death took place years after the discovery and the excavation of the tomb. And he's the only one that seems directly, quickly related to it, although many of these people were visiting years after to see the tomb site and then dying on their way back. So a few of these stories I feel are too fantastical or fabricated solely to propagate the cursed story in papers, while others are just dumb people that die from pulling all their teeth to fix their blindness. With these stories, where do you land on King Tut's curse? It seems like really...
I land on everyone who partook or went to see the excavation of King Tut are morons. I hate them. And I'm not saying they deserve what happened to them.
Sure.
But
it does seem a common theme that these high society frail whites go to climates they won't fare well in, then they die in their travels.
Yeah.
That is part of it. But I do say if there's anything to this curse...
That's why I stay indoors.
Smart, as do I. We're urban hermits. But that's why, if there's anything attributed to this curse of that all these people died of some sort of similar disease, let's say, it has to be from a biological thing. That tomb was sealed for a long time. It might have even been booby-trapped with like some sort of inhalant, like everything being coated in pink dust, the hot air rushing out, people getting sick of lung diseases.
Well, you have to think like they had they have obviously hieroglyphics on the wall, imaging, drawing, paintings. You have the heat. There has to be some sort of chemical reaction regardless.
You'd assume just sealing that over years probably, isn't good. Plus, we know from the humidity, the flooding. Why the hell
did you not cover your face when you went down there?
We were dumb. We didn't know. But again, people, society. But again, we also know because of the flooding, the humidity, that it was very...
There's just so many factors.
Yeah, that you should cover your face. So do you believe in King Tut's curse? Or do you think it's just a lot of people dying from old air?
I feel like their deaths can be circumstantial.
Sure.
But I also feel like fucking with someone's grave is wrong.
You get what you get.
And it's bad karma. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you believe in... I kind of believe in not messing with the burial site.
I don't think you should mess with it. Like, it's there. It's there. Leave it.
If not cursed...
Leave them be. Let them be in peace.
If not cursed, definitely haunted, I'd say, So I would say I believe in mummies' curses. I don't necessarily believe in this one as much as they all sucked in a biological thing and got lung diseases.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's circumstantial. I feel like everyone's a moron, and yeah, they shouldn't have fucked with the grave.
I agree with you.
You don't fuck with a grave.
Well,
just don't fucking do it.
Well, this was the only one I'm going to touch on for today. I just wanted to give us...
This is the only one?
Don't worry, though. This is the only one I'm going to do today for the famous ones. I just want to touch on the culture and then a big one to kick it off. But next episode, I will be looking into a couple more famous curses, and we're going to see if we believe in the curse or if
we're going to do the Hope Diamond.
We're going to. Thanks for listening to our take on curses and the curse of Tutankhamun. If you like what you heard, make sure you like and subscribe to your favorite podcast app, rate and review. Listen to the whole Majestic Jam Network, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.